right, beautiful people. Big Rob, our guest today. I love what we do because we get to highlight all the great things that are going on in the Black community.
Yes, sir.
And we've been doing this for what 20 years now,
Yes,
and
sir.
I still got that fire as if it's day one. Um, the Student Freedom Initiative is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring freedom and professional and life choices for juniors and senior students pursuing science, technology, engineering, math, STEM degrees, initially focused on historical Black colleges and university. SFI is a student-centered, evidence-based, and holistic, featuring four transformative components, including an income continuing alternative to fixed payment obligation used to finance college, internship, mentoring, tutoring, and other student services. Bottom line, brother, Big Rob, this group is helping students reduce their college debt. In some instances, we've seen what happened at Morehouse. The billionaire Robert F. Smith wiped out the college debt for a whole graduation class. And I got a shout out to one of the kids that I mentored that's down in Morehouse, Keyshawn Morgan, who's going to Morehouse right now. We want to bring in the executive director of this brilliant nonprofit based out of Washington, D.C. We want to bring in Mr. Mark Brown. How you doing today, Mr. Brown?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys, and it's great to be on with you. And thanks for giving us some time today to talk about what we're doing with the Student Freedom Initiative.
I tell you what, looking at you, you look like money. Like I look at you and say, look, Mr. Brown, look like he's the man that makes sure the money is handled right and it goes to the right place.
Hey, I don't know about that, but here's what I can tell you. You caught it right. You know, if you happen to be sitting in that audience, the class of 2019, Morehouse College, Robert F. Smith's the graduation speaker. If your parents are there, here's what we know. Many of those students were strapped with debt. Although they were getting a college degree, they were leaving with the burden of debt around their necks. What Robert Smith did that day was he liberated them from that. He gave them the freedom to go out and do other things. If they wanted to go to grad school, go on. If they wanted to pursue, if they wanted to go teach in a school, teach math in a school with predominantly people of color, but they didn't pay that much, they're still able to go do that because the debt had been released from them. That's what this program is about. It's about liberating students from overwhelming debt so they can go do where their talents take them. That's what it's about. The only problem, my friends, is that was one class. That was the class of 2019. Students just like that are at Tuskegee. They're at Tougaloo. They're at Hampton. They're all over. And so the Student Freedom Initiative takes what he did that day, his vision, and looks to see if we can take it to scale for all HBCUs. That, in summary, is what we're trying to do.
That is amazing, man. All HBCUs. So we're broadcasting in Orlando, Florida, and we heavy FAMU and Bethune-Cookman audience. That is music to their ears. We're also in Michigan, where a lot of folks are going to Central State, Wilberforce, and other HBCUs. I'm a big Jackson State fan. You know, I didn't go there, but I love what Dion is doing down there, and I got Prince Doran down there who's from my city. This is phenomenal, man. How y'all going to make this happen? It's a lot of work.
So I hear you. I hear you loud and clear with FAMU and Jackson State. I'm a graduate of Tuskegee Institute back then, Tuskegee University today. And so we all have a common cause, right? We all have a common purpose, and those schools have been doing it for us when others would not do it for us. And so they are, the love of those HBCUs are deep in our heart. So we do four things, and this is how we do them. One is for juniors and seniors that are majoring in STEM, we offer them this agreement. So instead of them signing up their parents for Parent Plus loans and putting parents in bad positions, we are investing in them. We're saying we will pay up to $20,000 per academic year in your junior and senior year so that you don't have to get a Parent Plus loan. And then when you get this $20,000, the repayment will be contingent on your income. And in other words, you're only going to pay 2.5% of your income for every $10,000 borrowed. And it may not equate to the total amount being paid, and it might equate to the total amount being paid. But you're not going to be burdened beyond a certain amount of time, and you're not going to have to get your parents involved in order to do it. Why is that? What's the bigger picture here?
Right.
There's a wealth disparity in America. And I'm not telling you all anything you don't know, but there's a wealth disparity in America. Two graduates, same degree, from two ethnic backgrounds that are different. The African American will have more debt and less earnings over a lifetime. You don't create wealth when you're paying down college debt, right? You cannot create wealth when you're paying down college debt. Part of Robert Smith's vision here is that these students will take a holistic approach and have social mobility, what we call social mobility after college, move to a different economic point in their life. The second thing, internship. We have a program called Internship X. It's a platform. You all may have heard of Indeed. Well, think of Indeed for HBCU students. It's called Internship X. On that platform, Fortune 100 companies. Those Fortune 100 companies have agreed to hire these students as they match them that are at HBCUs, provide them paid internships. And I want to emphasize paid because we don't do unpaid internships. So not just experience internships, but paid internships, pay them the market rate well, have oversight of those students so that they don't just go to the company, but have immersive experiences and stretch assignments. So they don't just go to the corporation, but they go and do well and have an opportunity to stay. Why? Because we know there are more STEM jobs than there are people applying for STEM jobs. So a STEM major, 2 paid internships, social mobility. They're going to be able to move out and do those kind of things. A third thing that I want you to understand on the program is we have corporate sponsorship for what we call micro grants. Now, what's a micro grant? First of all, not money that you pay back. But we look at why do students at HBCUs not persist to graduation? Here's a fact. Many don't persist because they have what I would call a point in their life that they can't get past. A death in the family, a broken down car, a round trip plane ticket. If you come from a fragile economic background, those things may send you home and you may never get back to graduation. Students that don't persist to graduation for small dollar amounts or things like that can be overcome. We offer the schools that have MOUs with us, the HBCUs, the ability to give these micro grants to students so they can overcome these, what could, in some believe, minor traumatic kinds of things, persist and get back to school and graduate. So that student can get $1,200, take care of the funeral back home or whatever he believes his or her responsibilities are, and then get back in school and persist to graduation. That's a key part of our program. One other one I will tell you is we're on the campus. We're at Prairie View. We're at Xavier. We're coming up through Texas. We're coming up through Louisiana over the next few months until we've gone through most of the HBCUs that are in that area. The IT infrastructure on our HBCU campuses has to be fixed, right? It has to be secure from cyber pirates, and it also has to be modernized. McKinsey just finished a study that said over 85% of our HBCUs are in what they call broadband deserts, 5G. You know, if you don't have 5G capability or an enhanced capability, what do you do when a pandemic comes? Are you able to service students through virtual classes, or is your school interrupted?
Right.
We are going to those campuses with generous philanthropy from Cisco and AVC Technologies, and at no cost to the HBCU campus, fixing the IT infrastructure, making it so that they're compliant, campus cyber secure, so that they can put these kind of things like 5G on top of that and be competitive with their peers. And that's, again, based on the philanthropy of the private sector, is how we're able to do that. So, yeah, we want to get the word out. We believe this is an important program.
How can people tap in? I know you guys are going on tour. How can they tap in with the Student Freedom Initiative?
Go to studentfreedominitiative.org. Studentfreedominitiative.org. We have MOUs with schools. We do this by cohorts. I will tell you that in cohort 1, which we have already started with our schools, we had 9 schools. And 9 of those schools, and I'll tell you where they're at for your listeners. Claflin in South Carolina is a part of cohort 1. Clark Atlanta is a part of cohort 1. Florida A&M, you mentioned earlier, is a part of cohort 1. Hampton, Morehouse, Prairie View, Tougaloo, Tuskegee, and Xavier. In just a matter of weeks, we're going to announce cohort 2. And I will tell you in advance, it will be quite a few more HBCUs. And then there's a cohort 3 after that. So we're going right up. You know, most of our HBCUs are in the South, right? So there's a big hunk of these that are in the South. But unless the school opts out, it will be given an opportunity to participate in at least some of the components of our program.
Big Rob, I'm coming to you. Family, if you're watching this right now, share this video. Share it, like it, and share it. Let's not hold it back for yourself. Share this video so your friends, your family members, your peers can see what is happening. These guys are doing this. You didn't hear anything about government assistance. You didn't hear anything about government. It's all private, Rob. These are private individuals. And big ups to Mr. Robert F. Smith behind the scenes making all this happen. He could be on his yacht. No, he could be going to Mars if he wanted to. You know what I mean? But he decided to stay here with us.
You know, I would share with you all. That's great. He did decide to stay here with us.
That's right. And, you know, the other billionaires are going to Mars. You know what I mean? Are going to the moon or something. You know.
I could not be prouder of what Robert Smith sees as a vision here. You know, the latest census talked about the browning of America and how there are more people of color than in the past, where this previous minority moves into the slight majority in the years ahead. Think about what that means for the corporate world. Where will we go for our scientists? Where will we go for our next Robert F. Smiths? Where will we go? That talent, we believe, is resident on HBCU campuses. We need to make sure it doesn't leak out of our hands. We need to cultivate that talent and get it out into the corporate world and let these I can call them younger people do where their talents will take them. That's what we're all about, liberation of students.
Big Rob, go ahead.
Wow. This is just amazing to me, what you're doing for these students. Where is your emphasis on this, Mr. Brown? What made you want to do this? Because you don't look like you too short of money. You know, you look like you all right. You know, so.
Now, let me tell you. So that's a great question. So when this happened initially at Morehouse, I was the chief operating officer for federal student aid at the Department of Education. So I was the chief operating officer for all of the Title IV funding for the country, and enjoyed doing that. We had a $1.7 trillion student loan portfolio. People talk about it as the student loan crisis, right? You hear them talk about it in the country. 1/3 of that 1.7 trillion, and you can do the math, that's a lot of money, was defaulted or delinquent. Those accounts were overrepresented by people of color who had gotten themselves entrapped with these student loans and those kind of things and not been given a way out. Flashback into the mid 80s, and I was a student at Tuskegee Institute that turned university. I received the same kind of Title IV funding, federal student aid funding, that other students received. I got help to get through school. I would not have been able to do it without that. I did it with that plus an ROTC scholarship. Because of that help, I retired out of the Air Force as a Major General in the United States Air Force. Could not have done it without some assistance. And my passion now is that we keep that bridge there for the students that are coming, and we even make it better so that they too have a shot to do where their talents will take them.
So tell me, how does it feel working for one of the few Black billionaires in America?
So I think it's an honor and a privilege, right? But not because he's a billionaire, although that probably provides him, I'm sure, the platform, but because his heart's in the right place. Like you said, he's not taking off the space. He's trying to make more Robert Smiths. And that's almost a quote from him. He's making future Robert Smith. That's how he's decided to spend his time and to spend his investment. And you're right, didn't have to do this. That's certainly, he certainly has a lot of other things he could be doing, but he still invests his time in this. So it's an honor. It's an honor that we have an opportunity to do this.
And that's to me is the beauty of all of this, as well as you guys using your experience, you know, doing what you did in the private sector and to come into doing things of this nature. I commend you wholeheartedly for your work in this. I know behind every great leader, there's some soldiers, you know, that help that leader march on. And it seems as though you're one of those soldiers that, you know, is doing the work. Because majority of the time when they get to your level, or Mr. The billionaires level, they don't look back at us, the less than fortunate. They don't look back. You're looking back and you're remembering, you know, not to be one of the crabs in the barrel. You're gonna be the one on top of the barrel, grabbing the crab and pulling them up. That's the beauty of this.
I can tell you, Big Rob, that Mr. Smith and everyone, we have a very small staff, maybe no more than 10 to 12 folks. Keith Schultz is the chief operating officer. He's also a vice president at Vista Equity. None of them have to do this. They are all in it for the right reasons. They're incredibly talented. They could be doing other things, but their heart's in the right place. And I can say sincerely, none of them have forgotten where they came from, and none of them have forgotten to leave a hand behind to help others up.
And it's a beautiful thing that you even say that, you know, forgotten where they came from. It doesn't mean they came from the mud or the ghetto or whatever and stuff. Just remember where they came from and the struggles that they had to deal with. Most people look at, you know, when you say don't forget where you came from, means, you know, you came from the ghetto. Everybody didn't come from the ghetto or the hood, but ancestors did, you know, some of them. So I salute you on that, man, for real.
Definitely. Before we go, got an online comment, several online comments from Jennifer Ross, a leader here in West Michigan. Said, please be doing this in 6 years when hers are going to college.
We certainly hope to. We certainly want to, and to be doing it even larger by that time and to scale. So absolutely.
Well, hopefully we'll catch you when you come to Florida or when you come to the Midwest, to Michigan or Ohio, or one of the adjoining adjacent states. I want to thank you for your service to the country. I heard a lot, ROTC, Air Force, Major General. I was in the military, Army, military police. Didn't see a lot of brothers that look like you. I would love to have been in your company. But thank you for your service. Also working for the government. We come down to these kids getting the scholarships or the funding they needed for college. I'm sure you did the best you can do there. And look at you now. So you've been a public servant, and commend you too, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed chatting with you. And we are coming to Florida, so we'll make sure we look you up when we do.
And Midwest too. Don't forget about us in the Midwest too.
We're coming to Midwest too.
All right. Okay. All right, God, peace and blessings to you. Make sure you have a great day, okay?
All right. Thank you, guys. Be well.
All right.